I'm wondering how many shows we did this year. How many rooms? How many chats? How many clubhouses have we had?
I mean, I think what did we miss? We only skipped like one
Well,
or two.
we probably took a week off in July, week off here or there, Christmas week. I don't know, 50 times, something like that.
High
Crazy.
40s, if not
Up
50.
here, let's see what's going on with Tom. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Yeah, high 40s, if not 50. We've made over the course of the year for sure, for sure.
Yeah, right,
Me,
right. Go on.
yeah, we maybe took off 2 weeks, maybe three. I don't know, maybe three over the course of the whole year. But
That,
yeah, I mean, not many
that's some
for sure.
solid weeks, man. Hey, Billy, how many, wha- how many weeks you spent on Clubhouse this year? That's what we were talking about. And then what we really wanted to get into was wins and losses from 2020. What a weird name, 2022. Wins and losses from 2022. So, Tom, I'm sure you had all wins in 2022. I just want to say 22 now. It's weird.
You don't want to say 2022?
No, I don't like it.
I'm just working through I'm loading up a list of pings here, but yeah, I mean, I didn't have all wins. I mean, come on, who has all wins? Like that's not realistic. Nobody has all wins. I definitely didn't have all wins. Did my business grow the way I wanted it to this year? No, it did not. You know, did I achieve like all of my goals this year? No, absolutely not. I mean, and I like, I had like goals that I did achieve, but like, I also set kind of crazy aspirational goals that I didn't hit. So like in my Ironman, I wanted to be under 12, but really I wanted to be as close to 11 as possible. Did I do that? Not really. I was at like 11:54. That's not super close to 11. I'd say that's closer to under 12, right? So like did I hit the goal? Yes, but did I hit like did I accomplish what I really wanted to accomplish? No. Like not fully. And I think that's an important distinction, right? Is like goals are good, but I think not fully realizing your goals is also good. It means you still have something to work towards, right? That you still have an accomplishment to strive for. Because if your goals are all like super achievable, then like, what keeps you moving? What keeps you purposeful? What keeps you pushing forward and trying to achieve more and better and bigger things, right? Like that's one of the reasons why I think setting a mission statement for your business is so important, right? So like the stated mission of my business is to humanize the world of business through better communication, right? Like and like I've said, I'm never going to ever in my life kick back, crack open a beer and be like, "Yep, I did it. I humanized the world of business." Right? That's insane. It's never going to happen. But that means that so long as Talex exists, it will have purpose, right? So long as my business exists, it will have purpose because I can never accomplish the mission that I've stated, right? The mission that I've set out for myself and for my brand and my business. And the same thing is true in my personal life. I'm constantly trying to achieve more and better and bigger, right? Like I wanted to run a marathon in under 3.5 hours, right? Which I did. I ran it in 3:28 and a couple of seconds, right? 3:28:18 to be super precise. But quietly, my goal was to be under 3:20 because that would have meant that I would have qualified for the Boston Marathon, right? Which would have been amazing to do. Did I do it? No. But that means it's something I can continue working towards, right? It means I can continue training, continue improving, continuing getting faster so that I can accomplish those goals. And then what do? I just move the goalposts, right? So like say I qualify for Boston, then what do I want to do next? Like what's the next big goal that I can set for myself? But you have to always I think set goals that you're not going to fully realize because if you fully realize all your goals, then like all you're really doing is checking things off a to-do list, right? Like it's not a goal, it's just a task at that point. right? I think goals by definition have to be somewhat unachievable or unattainable. I don't know. That's my thought. You got me going. You got me going.
Tom, we appreciate you, man. That's what we do here. Break things down, dig in, uh, share things that we wouldn't necessarily share with everybody else. So, Billy, we're talking wins, we're talking losses. We're looking for you to share a win, share a loss, share that teachable moment. Hey, I got fired once this year. I grew my clientele this year, and for the first time ever, I got fired. And well, not the first time ever, because when I was in pharmaceuticals, they used to fire the whole company all the time. But yeah, for the first time in this business, I got fired. And you know what? I wanted to end on a high note. I didn't think what went down was exactly right, but so I just stayed on a high note, stayed on a high note, stayed on a high note. And about a month later, the individual called me back and said, maybe I jumped the gun on this. And that's where we're at. But it was, there was no need to, it was just accepting, yeah, I could have done this, and this better. And then the individual was like, maybe I was a bit hard. Maybe things aren't, maybe that was partly me. And so, hey, I got fired. So that's a loss, and we see how it goes. Billy, what do you got for us, man? My segues are never good. So, Billy, wins, losses, what do you got? That's what I'm going to work on in 23.
Hey, what's up, Dominick? Tom. I mean, I love it, man. Tons of wins, tons of losses. Well, and I guess it's all about perspective. Like, this is one thing I've been trying to work on in, being a business owner for over 10 years now in not a lot of different areas, but mostly in the apparel industry and then now in the content creation space for the last 3 years. I always try to look at every opportunity as depends on how it goes, like good, bad. We always want to go good and bad, black and white. But I've been getting to see things in the journey, not about the destination. So I'm really just enjoying the journey. And there's been lots of roller coaster moments, and a couple of them that were great was personal. I lost 67 pounds from November to middle of last year or this year, so that was awesome. And then on another on a business note, I started a new company when I got back to North Carolina, when I moved back from Puerto Rico. That was awesome. And it's been growing ever since for the last 6 months. It's been just insane the amount of growth that we've seen, and just kind of figuring out that whole new, business. But before, like when I was in Puerto Rico, and business wasn't great. It was actually, out of 10 years of being a business owner, it was like the worst probably the worst 10 months of my business career, life, entrepreneurship. I wasn't doing what was really fulfilling me as a person. And I was like kind of just doing stuff that a lot of other people wanted me to do. And a part of that, part of the pandemic for me was to launch a fishing show with a friend of mine. And so we've been doing it for 3 years. And some people might call this a loss, but like last week, I had a meeting with my co-host and was like, "Look, man, I'm going to step out. I'm going to step out of the business. I'm going to focus on, personal goals and personal businesses and things that I keep 100% of, that I don't split 50-50." And there are some other reasons why. And so some people would go, "Man, that's a huge loss, because thousands of dollars a month in revenue. We have a 300 plus membership, fishing group or whatever. We have sponsors. Like, it's a sweet deal. Like, it's a sweet semi-passive, doesn't take up too much time every month. Uh, but it just isn't fair to me or to my co-host, because I'm just not passionate about that project anymore." And so it's kind of a bittersweet moment of like, all right, man, here comes a 3-year chapter that really saved my ass during the pandemic. I'm going to close the door on this thing so I can really focus on me. So it's a little bit bittersweet moment. Some people will call this a loss. Financially, it's a huge loss, but I think the morale and me personally moving on is a huge win. So I kind of said all that to say, it's all about the perspective. It's like I've worked a lot of jobs in my life, and I've gotten fired from just about every one of them. I'm not saying like client work and all that kind of jobs. I'm saying like W-2, go to work, grind for somebody else, make them some money. I've like gotten fired from all those jobs, but I didn't get fired without taking something with me. And in each one of those pieces, and I look back over the last decade, and I go, "Holy cow, man! I used video production. I did that for 10 years for a company, video, audio, YouTube, managed all their social media, like graphic design. Like I use all those skills, right? Like I worked for a sales company doing sales. I use all those skills in my business now. I owned a I owned a t-shirt printing business, and I would source products over in China. Well, guess what? 90% of my clientele right now is Chinese manufacturing companies. So I learned about the culture 4 or 5 years ago and how they do and how these companies do business and expectations and negotiations and language barriers and all that stuff. And I learned all of that, and now I'm maximizing, with those things. So when I look back, hindsight's 2020. I go, man, I'm thankful for all those opportunities and wins and losses, or whatever little list or column we want to put those into. I'm a better person today because of those, and journey and life and entrepreneur, dude. As much as we want it to be a destination, it is for who's ever spot. So anyway, that's my takeaways from this year.
Billy, man, you are spectacular. You cut out there right at the end a little bit, but just an awesome share, man. Of all those trials, tribulations, ups and downs, making you the kick-ass Billy you are today. So Billy, kick-ass Billy, that's a good one. I thought it was good, but just fantastic, man. I remember one time when I was in pharmaceuticals, I was getting some award on stage, and I'm up on stage and people are like clapping, good job for whatever I had done. And I remember thinking while I was up on stage, I was heartbroken because I didn't want to be there. And I knew I wanted to be in this world. And I thought to myself when I'm up on that stage, I'm not going to be here in a year. And you're using wherever you're at to get to somewhere else. And there's no shame in that. It's all a journey, Billy. So thank you. Not the smartest guys in the room. Last show of the room. Great share by Billy. He's always awesome when he stops by. Prof T, we're coming to you. Tom, what'd you want to add?
Last show of the year, not last show of the room. The room is going to be back in
The room will
2023.
never die. Tom made
just to be
sure.
clear. Yeah, because you said last show of the room, and I was like, no, it's not over.
That's right. And Tom, one of the things that Tom thought about is like when we started live streaming this and stuff like that is, hey, apps go down, apps get banned, things like that, or people's fancies change. Well, we're hoping that this is something that we could continue through podcast or streaming or however we have to continue this room. If this isn't the platform that's always here, if it is, hey, we like it and we enjoy everybody's company, but hopefully we can keep this kind of conversation where kick-ass people like Billy and you guys come through and share your tips and your wins and help us improve as well. Prof T, welcome. What do you got for us today? Wins, losses? What do you want to share, Prof T?
Good morning. Hey, everybody. First, I want to thank you guys. Love this room. Such a pleasure to be here. And it's chilly in Philly, but I want to give a shout out to my Canadian friends here on this stage in this room, because I think the other day you were like minus 44 or something like that. So God bless you. I love you. I'm so glad it's not that cold here. But here's what I got. I hate to use the word losses because that sends me spiraling, because then I start ruminating and I start shoulda, woulda, coulda, and I start shooting all over myself. And I don't want to do that anymore. So I've made a conscious effort there are no losses. You know what? I look back and I go, oh my gosh, look what I've done in the last 6 months to a year. Look what you've all done. Oh my goodness. How many of us could have said, 2 years ago, last year, I wrote a book, I was on a TV show, I was on a podcast, whatever it is that you've done. I made a video, I did a TikTok, I did a reel. For those of you who did any of those, I've not done all of those, but I'm just making a point to celebrate that And as far as the new year, look, every day's a new year, you guys and girls. Every day's a new year. I don't do, when I'm talking with clients and they've got all these goals and they're like, yes, it's going to be 2023. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And that's my New Year's resolution. And so we have to flush that out and tease that out, because I think like 85% or more people start a New Year's resolution, and then like by week 2, Prof T included. Yeah, that was fun, but forget it. So I try to use every day as a springboard. So with that said, I think finally my focus is podcasts. I'm actually feverishly right now preparing for a podcast that I'm going to be on in about an hour or so, that Julie actually connected me with. And so I'm very excited about that. So I'm averaging, a podcast a month, speaking engagements once or twice a week, networking events. So get your walking shoes on, people, and get out there, whatever that looks like for you. Put your tough shoes on and just start walking. Thanks, everybody. This is Prof T. Love this room, love the energy. And you guys, like, if you're on this stage, connect with these people. And if you're in the listening lounge, come on up, follow this room, and follow the people on here. I know most of these people because I've built relationships with, and that's what makes it work. Thanks. Back to you, Prof T.
Prof
Over
T,
to
you are beautiful inside and out. Thank you very much. And we will change that. We'll say wins and learns. No more losses. Wins and learns. That's what. If somebody's got a better acronym, we'll go with that. Wins and learns from 22. Jamie, I always like the backgrounds where they're colored in the background like that. I need to be more or thumbnail picture. I need to be more. I'm changing my profile picture in 23, new profile picture. Jamie, wins and learns. What do you have for us?
Well, if you need help, hi guys, it's Jamie. Dom, if you need help with the picture, I'll help you, because that's what I've been doing. I've been marketing, I've been playing with Canva, I've been using apps, and I've spent the last couple of years on Clubhouse building me. You guys know who I am because of my voice. And that's kind of what the last Clubhouse 2 years wins are. I got a movie coming to theaters next year, you guys. I didn't think that was going to happen. Like Tom said, you really want your goals. I'm going to be an actor in a movie theater, right? But I don't know how much of a chance I really did have, but it's working. And my one point today is just keep on stepping. Even if you step forward one step and then trip backwards, you keep stepping forward. And eventually, you go forward. And I'm Jamie Hill, and I'm drinking my tea, listening to a great group. And I'm glad I'm here at the last one before our new year, because I'll be here in the new year too. I'm Jamie Hill, dropping the mic.
Jamie Hill, you dropped it. You have to tell us what's the movie coming out, so when we're buying tickets, we can make sure we're supporting you.
Skinamarink. Skinamarink-y dinky dink. No, it's not that song. It's a scary movie called Skinamarink.
And there's a ton of good buzz about it.
It is.
There's a ton of buzz on this movie. It's going to be a big, big hit.
Thank you, Johnny.
That's what we like to hear. I'm going to say something here that somebody might get mad at me. Winners surround themselves with winners. Birds of a feather flock together. So everybody in this room, movers and shakers, doers and dreamers. That's why we hang out and get along. We're all creators and saying, yeah, I'm going to do this. And why the heck not? Tom's going to change media forever. Why the heck not? I'm going to make sure the world's a more positive place. Why the heck not? Julie's going to help everybody market. Prof T's going to do this. So why can't we? Speaking of Julie, what's going on? Wins or learns? Come on, there's got to be a better way to say that.
Oh my gosh. No, that's great. And I just want to make mention really quick. Let's see, there have been 60 people, 35 people here now. Let's share the room and your Clubhouse hallway. Let's give Dom and Tom the respect they deserve. The smartest guy, not the smartest guys in the room. So if you just take a moment to share, that would be amazing. I'm so happy to see a lot of new faces here today. And the truth is, wins. Looking back, 2022 has been a phenomenal year. My learns, if you will. It's been hard too. I've learned a lot of hard lessons in terms of who you surround yourself with, I think is the big lesson. I kind of went through something a little tumultuous in terms of who I associated myself with here on Clubhouse. I didn't listen to my gut instinct because I kept telling myself, "Oh, I'm doing something good. I'm doing something good." And then I separated from one of my business partners, which was not a traumatic thing. However, it was not unexpected, but it really catapulted me into a hugely different direction, which is super cool because I know 2023 is going to offer some amazing experiences. And I'm just happy to see everyone here. So let's keep the conversation going. Thanks, guys. Ooh, look at since I've been talking, we've had at least 6 shares. So
Hey, thank
there
you,
we go.
Julie. Thank you. And we appreciate anybody who's come through, who's supported this room, who's been here 1 week, who contributed and said, hey, guys, change the name or talk about this, or comments in the side or DMs us and says, Dominick, your mic sounds like shit, or whatever. Anything that contributes to the room, we're appreciative of. The conversation, the people that play devil's advocate, people that bring up subjects we didn't even think about, people that talk about audio, people that talk about algorithms. It's all helping us move forward as a group. So we're like I say, we're appreciative, and like it's always cool. It's cool when the room has 65 people at one time or something like that. But sometimes me and Tom get off this room on a day where it was after a holiday, and let's say there was 25 people, and it was the best conversation. And we're like, holy shit, did we learn a lot today? Or we're like, wow, the conversation just flowed. Everybody shared. So that's what it's all about. Hopefully that everybody leaves this room a little bit fuller every week, whatever makes you full. Hopefully we can help contribute to that. Tom, do you want to add? Well, we got Dimple next, but I get lonely if I don't hear from you in a while. So.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, I was just thinking about talking about sort of wins and losses and lessons learned from 2022. And I gotta say, committing to, and at the very beginning, before, when it was just Dominick and I in the room, before we really, before folks started coming in, we were talking about how many times we've done this room over the last year, and we think it's right around 50. We didn't count, but I can only remember 2 weeks that we skipped completely. There were other times where one of us couldn't be there, and so we asked somebody to guest host with us. But otherwise, both of us have been in this room every week, almost every week over the last year, 50 out of 52 weeks, I think. And I think that is a win. The amount that we've learned from being in this space, sharing this space with so many people who are smarter than us, that have expertise that we don't have, that we've had the opportunity to learn from and to share their knowledge with a broader audience, has been incredible. One of the things Dom was kind of hinting at before, that we're planning on doing going into the new year, is we're going to start taking this room, which obviously we've been live streaming across the internet. So it's been living on, once it's live streamed, it lives in a bunch of different places. So it lives on YouTube, it lives on LinkedIn, it lives on Facebook, it lives on Twitter, right? Those live streams stay up and are available for people to watch after the fact. And in the future, for 2023, the plan is to start putting this room out as a podcast every week. So we're going to have a weekly podcast, turn this into a podcast, Not the Smartest Guys in the Room, and create an opportunity for all of you guys to broaden your audience too, and share your knowledge, your expertise, your experiences with a broader audience, and ask questions and get answers that'll help other people. So, both of us leave this room every week feeling great. Because of you guys, because of all of you showing up week after week and helping us grow this. And to be perfectly honest, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I'm just so glad to be here every week. It has been an incredibly beneficial use of my time, that I wouldn't have it any other way. So keep coming back. We're going to keep doing this. and hoping to grow it. I mean, like I said, my mission is to humanize the world of business. Dom's is to make the world a more positive place. And with your help, hopefully we'll get steps closer to both of those goals. So, thanks to everybody for the support, and thanks for showing up every week. We really appreciate it. There's nothing else, no other way to put it. We really appreciate all you guys. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom. And when we say that, like, I hear Tom talking, and like I'm like almost like teary-eyed, thinking like I really do like care for all of you and appreciate you stopping by, whether it's one day and you come back on Clubhouse 6 months from now, or you're cruising through LinkedIn and you make a comment or you share something. I mean, wow. And to connect and have somebody else on your show that you met in this room, or sometimes somebody's in this room and they say, hey, I bought somebody else's book, or I met them for coffee, and you see stuff like that and you're like, holy cow, maybe this does make sense. Maybe us all being here and connecting, and you see, yeah, man, that's what it's all about. So, okay, now I'm going to have a better segue. So we are going to meet some new people. The room's called Not the Smartest Guys in the Room, and we are going to talk to our friend Dimple. Wins or learns from 2022.
Yeah, hi there. My learn was that I fired a client, and it actually felt really, really good. And I would do it all over again, but I would actually not take on that client to begin with. And wins would be that I think I'm stepping into 2023 with such confidence and a plan where it's just going to be implemented, and I'm just excited about what 2023 holds. So that's going to be the win.
Dimple, when you made this decision to fire a client, were they like, you can't fire me, you work for me?
Oh, they didn't really have a choice, but let's just say that they wanted to be difficult. And I said, well, you can either accept my offer and we can resolve this today, or I can talk to my lawyer and get back to you on Monday. Your choice. And their tone really changed after that. But what's interesting is before that, the person literally like said that their time was more valuable than my time. Big mistake. Then they said that they are very influential and that I should not, I should be careful because there would be animosity if basically I don't do what they wanted me to do. And I don't answer well to threats. So I actually wrote a 2-page letter. He's lucky he didn't get that letter, but I sent a 2-sentence thing in return. But what's interesting is the tone changed after I sent the 2 sentences, and he was nice and he was like, "Oh, did you have a good weekend and all this?" So it really flipped because I'm like thinking, you're influential in a really small city. Do you even know who I know? Do you know who I work with? Do you know who my clients are? I don't think so, buddy. So he didn't know, right? But I know. So I was like, and that was a big win. And I was talking about this with, I think, with 70 to the architect. And the thing is, that's going to be content for my new TikTok channel. That's going to be content for a new podcast that I'm launching. And then there were also so many lessons learned that I can teach, like as far as like, running a business, like what's going to be like, for example, the person made you work. They didn't sign the agreement. I had to like hassle this person to sign the agreement. Like, don't do any work without the agreement being signed, no matter what they say. So there's like so many lessons that came out of that, like teachings. And I think that that's the cool thing is like if you can share a story, but you can benefit, you can help someone else from not making the same mistake that you made, then I think it's always a win because then they can learn from that experience as well and they can benefit from that experience. So I love it because at the time I was like annoyed and it wasted a lot of my time, but it's so good content that it was just meant to be to go through that.
That's spectacular. What a way to clarify it for us. And I think we can all take that and think about our businesses and say, maybe I could do things a little different. How many of us have done work without signing that contract. I wonder how many times we've started a project or made. I'll tell you something that I've seen my dad, he's in landscaping, he just got burned by it. But how many times do people add stuff to the job and you don't update the contract? And you just think, well, I'll charge them later on for this. And they're like, well, I thought that was part of the original contract. And it's a complete miss. And in my dad's case, he went to court and lost, and then he had to end up paying. I mean, that kind of stuff happens. So, Dimple, thank you. Contract talk. Talk to Julie about contracts too. She's expert in that space. So 7-2, Tom, what do you want to say? Go on.
I was just going to say two things that I think are super important for anybody that owns their own business. One is set boundaries for yourself, your business, with your clients, right? Set boundaries, set expectations, because in doing so, you can create opportunity to actually build trust and improve the relationship over time. But if you don't set boundaries, then you are going to come in, going to end up in a situation with people who will take advantage of you, right? So make sure you set boundaries with your clients and then stick to those boundaries, set expectations, stick to them. And then the other thing too, I come across this all the time. People are constantly wanting to add on. Oh, can we do this now? Oh, we just had this idea. Can we add this? Can we do this? I am always happy to accommodate. What I say to them is, yes, we can. Here's what it'll cost, right? We have that conversation when it comes up, not later, not like, oh, I'll send them an updated contract next week. Like the second it comes out of their mouth, we decided we want to do this. Okay, great. Here is how that's going to affect the price that we've already negotiated. I can't include that in the contract because it creates more work. So here's what it's going to cost, right? I have that conversation immediately with them. And then they can make an informed decision if they want to move forward. And if they say they want to move forward, then we amend the contract. They agree to pay the new amount and we move forward, right? But it's immediate. The instant that comes up, I always address it immediately. Don't wait to address it because it will bite you and you will end up eating costs and losing money on deals. So like have that conversation the second it comes up. Don't be afraid to let people know that if they're asking for work outside of the scope of the original contract, it will cost them more. It's totally reasonable. You can't like go to a restaurant, add appetizers onto a meal and expect the check not to increase, right? Like we all understand this. It's not news to anyone. Just make sure that your client understands so that everyone's on the same page. Better communication, right? So that's all. I just want to throw that out.
Truth, man. And I want something I'm working on. And I think in 2022, that was one of my biggest monetary gains was maybe earlier in business, I would have just done, oh yeah, let's throw that extra book on, or let's throw this on, or yeah, I'll go back and although you didn't have footnotes in the book before, we'll add footnotes to the whole thing, or go back and make all these changes. Now I'll say, you want a dust jacket cover now too that's going to have 2 more designs on the interior flaps. Yeah, I can do that for you, but I'm going to charge you. Somebody wanted to go back and add pricing to a barcode. They already had a barcode and they just wanted the price on the barcode. Well, I could do that, but it's going to be extra work, extra submissions, extra this. Well, we're going to charge you. And I wanted to re-edit, rethink things, all these things that I would have done for free before because I was like, well, should I? Those weren't even in the contract. And now this year, well, I want my contractors to get paid for the extra work they're doing. And isn't our time valuable as well? So I 100% agree. Let's continue. Wins, learns. Somebody get me something that rhymes with learns that is positive. So I need this because I don't like to say wins and learns. It doesn't make sense. So somebody come up with something better, or I'm closing the room now. Jason,
earns and learns.
Earns and learns. That's something. Earns and learns. That's a little better.
Wins and wows.
Wins and wows. Nope. Okay, nothing yet. You haven't won. Haven't changed.
I don't think losses or mistakes are bad.
It's
like let's just stop saying that it's bad to have a setback. It's not. We all have them, right? Like I think it's fantasy to live in a world where like we expect to not have setbacks, right? Like we all have setbacks. So let's talk about them, right? Like might as well. I mean, like I said, I did not grow my business the way I wanted to grow my business this year. Period. I did not grow my business the way I wanted to grow my business this year. It did not. In fact, looking at year-end numbers, I'm down a little bit from 2021. Right? So like actually I took a little bit of negative growth this year, right? Negative growth. I lost some revenue this year. I don't, at the end of the day, like that doesn't make me want to curl up in a ball and like, and cry defeat, right? That encourages me to keep moving forward. You know, I've got a lot of irons in the fire. I've taken time this year to dedicate to like working on my book and things like that I hadn't done in 2021. And so I've got a lot accomplished in this year. Revenue wasn't where I wanted it to be, but I got time to fix it, right? I got tomorrow, I got the day after tomorrow, I got the day after that. So like, you know, I think like if we're going to be, we talk about like being, being authentic in this space. And so like, you know, I can't tell people they have to be authentic without being authentic myself. And the authentic truth is I am not where I want to be in my business right now. I am not. That doesn't mean I won't get there, but 2022 wasn't a miraculous year for my business. I'm hoping 2023 will be better, and I'm going to work towards it. Right. But yeah, I mean, I don't think losses are bad. Let's talk about wins and losses. Right. And let's learn from both. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, it's fair, Tom. And it's all perception. So I remember when I had the restaurant and lost $500,000 and was on a government repayment plan and lost a house, lost a car. Yeah. I mean, it sucked. And there's not too many good ways to say that when I was closing up, I was embarrassed and that I didn't think it was going to go down that way. But 20 years later, it was a great learning experience, but it wasn't. I mean, let's face it, it was a loss. I didn't set out to lose $500,000 and owe the government $35,000 in back taxes, but that's the way it went. All right, so
that's a tough pill to swallow, but you learn from it. How many times have you done that?
I won't do that again. And there's so many things that I learned for everyday business,
exactly.
Just keep moving forward. Jason, okay, wins, losses, learns, earns, whatever. Wows, hows, and cows. You got this. Jason, 7-2. What do you got for us?
Well, I have lots of wins, learns, losses, however you want to phrase it, but I've been very disciplined. My biggest learn was putting things in place to work, and that's understanding your blueprint. If you say you're going to make a goal, before you make your goal and you follow through, what are you left on the table that you didn't finish? So when I look at 2022, I look at it as a huge win. There wasn't big gains. There was more wins because I was not a guy who wanted to expose himself too much on Clubhouse. I very skeptical about people, but when I opened myself up and I allowed myself to just learn about people and learn about how I deliver my language and really just and not be afraid to ask. I've been working on things from my podcast to be formalized and put the links, all the background stuff. And then my business too. I mean, I didn't make a lot of money this year, but I made the right kind of client connections that I enjoy and that I can fulfill. And then when I had to take a break, they understood. And now that I'm back to work and I'm back doing things at full speed, people are excited to see me call. So I have nothing but wins. And that means understanding your scale. This doesn't mean limitation. If you keep making things go ahead and you're not completing things, you've never fermented anything. You don't have anything cured. So whatever you attempted and you had a goal before, how did it really work? It may have worked for a moment, but it's kind of like reading a book. do you read a book just to know, or do you read a book to understand, to study, and to add an addition to yourself? So I'm just going to stop there. It's like my wins, my learns, my losses. I've had to learn how to scale myself correctly and go forward with it.
Jason, good stuff, man. Always appreciate you. And I find myself looking around the app and trying to find Jason because every time he comes through, delivers and makes me think about something. I'm like, yeah, that's a unique way of looking at it, or a different thought process. So appreciate you, man. Look forward to seeing you more in 2-3. So 2-3. Hey, where'd 21 go, by the way? Okay, Johnny, what do you got for us? Wins, losses, learns, and burns, or however you want to rhyme it.
Good morning, multiverse. Hey there, friends and foes. So 2022 has been an interesting year for me because I have taken a lot of steps forward in my career. For those of you who don't know my story, I basically started all over from scratch in 2020 after I was nearly killed by COVID, and I basically threw everything that I had done to that moment out and started all over, reprioritized my entire life, family, friends, et cetera, et cetera. And so the last 2 years have been, a rebranding, a growing season, and 2022 kind of became a plateaued year. We got a lot of, I published a new book. I have a top ranked podcast. I'm now the top ranked paranormal storyteller in America, but the revenue has not followed like I would like to. On the podcast, we took a big hit with revenue with the recession this year. And so we did not meet hardly any of our goals. So it's been 2 steps forward, 1 step back the entire year. And, 2023 is presenting a lot of new opportunities for changes. That's kind of where I am. Just looking at whether I'm going to ride a roller coaster in 2023 or just jump off a cliff. That's my choices, I think. But that's where I'm at. I'm Johnny. I'm done. Ta-da!
Johnny, you're not done. Hold on here. Without telling us exactly, because I follow all Johnny's social media. Like, Johnny could post like the most obscure thing and I would probably see it. So Johnny said that there was something going on that could be conceived as like maybe a loss per se, but he's going to see if it could be an opportunity. So don't tell us everything about that, but just give us what are you saying? Like, how has that happened? How can something that is bad be opportunity? Teach us, Johnny.
Well, I don't know that it's bad. It's just that, when things aren't working the way you had planned or hoped, you got to change your plan. And, one of the hallmarks of my career over the last 30 years has been on stage. I've been a live entertainer. In the last 2 years, a live entertainer, and podcasting was like a bonus material for my live shows. Well, the last 2 years, that's flipped. And so now, looking at 2023, we're looking at, okay, how do we take everything we've done for the last 2 years with Back of the Cereal Box and the other projects and turn them into a viable live entertainment product? And so that's the opportunity. And, I'll just tell you, the show that we're putting together, it will be the best way I can describe it is a live show on stage in front of an audience, and kind of a mashup of Pee-wee's Playhouse meets Prairie Home Companion. And that's what I'm looking for 2023. We'll be doing it, uh, you know, filming episodes once a month, 4 episodes once a month in a theater in Tennessee, a grand old historic movie palace, and putting the pieces together now to make that happen with sponsors, with uh, you know, stage managers, producers, and sound technicians, video technicians, and whatnot, because it's a big, big move going from virtual on your laptop to stepping back out on stage. And, you know, so that's the opportunity. It's a challenge, opportunity, and it all came about because just, we've hit a plateau, and you got to do something different. You got to find a way to change the plan or alter the plan when the plan hasn't worked out quite the way you wanted it to.
Thank you, Johnny. And that's interesting about the plateau. I wonder how many of us have been on a mission or on route, and you hit that plateau. And are we afraid to make changes? Do we realize that we could make changes? So, Johnny, thank you for sharing that. I want to get to Nashville. I've never been. Me and my wife talk about going there. Maybe we could go see Johnny's show. Only if Johnny tells me a good fried chicken place that I could also hit when I was down there, because I'm a fried chicken connoisseur.
Well, I'll give you 3 that you need to go to on different days: Monell's, Hattie B's, and Moore's fried chicken. Oh, and maybe Loveless Cafe. Yeah, 4. So there you go.
Okay, I'm gonna write those down, and when I get to Nashville, when you're doing your show, we might just make our trip. All right, let's keep this going. Not the smartest guys in the room. You guys renamed the show, because before we were using keywords, and our dear friend Julie said you're probably getting shadow banned because we had Clubhouse in the name of the room, and we had talked about, like Tom said, about using this other places someday and things like that. Maybe it wasn't the smartest thing to do. Maybe as soon as we wrote the word Clubhouse on LinkedIn, this is true as we get. So I'm just sidebar. You guys know this. Like, we talk every week about posting stuff on Twitter or posting stuff on uh, TikTok that's branded Reels, or posting Reels that have TikToks on it. We know it's hurting our reach, but we still do it. But sometimes you just need to get the content out there. But here's us having a show about social media and books and publishing and all these things. And we were using these words that might negatively affect us somewhere else. Not so smart. Not the smartest guys in the room. Hey, it all comes back. Okay, Heather, she could be the smartest woman in the room, maybe the smartest person in the room, truthfully. So we should give her that title. Heather, if you want that title, you can have
Oh
it.
my gosh, knock it off. Love you, Tom. All right, so what I learned in 2022 was create content for yourself. I know that sounds crazy talk, but really it is, because before I switched the content I was making and the content I was making before, and I'm a pretty funny person. I think I'm funny. I crack my family up. I crack up my husband, but I didn't feel like the funny content that I was creating, like the voiceovers and making fun of social media and doing the pointing and the dancing and the whatever, it didn't feel unique to me, and it didn't feel right. It just didn't feel like me anymore, because I was happy and light and all of this stuff before the pandemic, and maybe a little in the fog, right? Because like I had just met my now husband, and everything, and I literally moved in with him at the beginning of the pandemic with my daughter, and we got married during the pandemic in our backyard. And so, you know, I went through a lot of stuff during that time, like a mystery illness. And, you know, I've had depression, you know, and high functioning depression since the, you know, 6th grade. So it didn't really, the content I was making just felt fake. I felt like I was performing, and I don't like to perform. My mom made me perform in front of family constantly with singing and piano and clarinet and blah, blah, blah. So like I don't like performing. So the content I make now is so much more genuine and honest for me. So that was really a big learning lesson in 2022. Like, don't be afraid to literally delete everything off your social media and start over. Don't be afraid to start a new channel that you didn't before. So that was my learn for 2022. And for 2023, I think I'm going to continue to lean into my micro podcast, which is called Into the Black. I'm really enjoying it. I'm picking up steam over on YouTube, which is awesome. And
Hold on,
yeah.
Heather. What does a micro podcast mean? Teach us.
So, okay, so I have a micro podcast, and what this micro podcast is I sit down in a chair on a set that I have in my office, and I speak on a topic for an hour to an hour and a half, and then I chop up that video instead of putting the long form out there, which I am debating about taking all of them and kind of chopping it up into like season 1, and so I have that long form copy like content, but I chop it up and only show it on short form video, on short form areas like YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, TikTok, Pinterest Pins, which is my next venture. I also put it on Twitter and LinkedIn, even though there's no short form apparatus over there. But it's only short form video, and I've actually been able to monetize it right out of the gate because you can get paid for your reels, get paid for your Facebook Reels. Guys, I've made a whopping $100. And I haven't needed to have sponsors. So technically these social media platforms are my sponsor. So that is what a micro podcast is under a minute 30. That is primarily video format. So thanks for the question, Dom.
All right, see, now you got us into something else. I saw, and sorry, this is how we do it in this room. Our minds scattered. We might have ADD. It is what it is. It is what it is. So, Heather, I see these things going across that says I can get paid for reels. I'm making reels. I'm making these things, and I see a little thing there that says you could get paid, and I'm like, I should click on that button. What does that mean, and why would they pay?
So right now, Instagram and Facebook are prioritizing the use of short form video, and how the best way to get people to post these short form videos is to give them a cut of the views. So, you know, currently right now over on Facebook, they have, what's the word? There's different things that you need to, like there's milestones. So right now, if I post 5 reels over on Facebook that get over 100 views, I get $20. And then if I post 10 videos that have over like 500 views each within a specific time frame, I get, I think like $100 or $500. I forget what like the pay scale is, and it's over there. I can read it. But so like, yeah, Instagram, you could totally monetize the short form video that you're putting out. And I'm only like, for Instagram, like I have one short form video, one for today. I'm going to repost it across all platforms. So I get paid on Instagram for that one video. I get paid on Facebook for that one video. I'm about to turn on the creator program over on TikTok because I've had like 523% increase because of I'm posting daily. So yeah, like you just one video across platforms that I can get paid for it.
Okay, teaching moment. I have learned. Thank you, Heather.
Welcome.
Get on, yeah, monetize. We just talked about 2 weeks ago on this show. Replay how stinking smart we are, because about 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, we were talking about TikTok being banned and things like that, and we were saying, if we were those other platforms, if we were Reels, if we were Facebook, we would double down so quickly to try to get their content, try to get those people posting that posting their content on Facebook and Instagram instead. Yeah, it seems like they're figuring it out. So uh, impressive how smart we are. So okay, Tom, we got to meet our friend John Jay. John Jay, good dude, always looking to help other people, and is straight shooter as can be, and that's why I love John Jay. He knows what he's looking for, knows his show, knows who he is. So John Jay, speak to us. Wins, losses, what do you got?
First of all, it's always good to be here with you. I'm getting ready to go on the air here in a few moments and do my radio show. And I will be having a guest that Dominick sent my way on my show. They fit the format. So that's really good. Excuse me. Some wins. I had a very profitable year last year. And I don't mind saying that. I had a very profitable year with the radio show, the podcast, and also picking up clients that want help with their podcast. When radio stations grow stagnant or have negative growth, they hire consultants. What podcasters oftentimes do when they have negative growth or grow stagnant is they double down on their efforts and do more of the same that doesn't work. So stand firm on what works for you and what doesn't. There are no big losses because everything is a learning situation, and sometimes it is learning to not have wishful thinking something will turn out the way you want it to be when it isn't. To look at analytics, to be very detail oriented about what's working for you, what's not, and to not worry too much about things you can't control. Focus on things you can control. And for example, social media algorithms, search engine algorithms, all that stuff is subject to change. So we've got to learn to be flexible. So I don't use the word losses anymore. I prefer to use the term. And I love what Tom said. We all have realistic lives, and there's struggles and there are wins. But I can't have any wins without struggles. So I don't know of anybody. There's few exceptions, but if we look at Oprah Winfrey, we look at Joe Rogan, we look at all them, we see where they're at today. We don't see where they started at, and we don't see the effort they put into it and how many years they worked at it. So everybody has struggles to get to where they want to be. Thanks so much.
John Jay, man, thank you, and good luck on the show, and thanks for connecting with our friend as well. I think she's got some interesting stuff for you. So I'll always love having you around, my man. Not the smartest guys in the room. Go on, Tom.
I was just going to say, Dom, it reminds me, what John just said reminds me of that adage that, oh no, I just had a hairy spate. I completely lost my train of thought. But I remembered that. I called back to that from like, I don't know what, 6 months ago, a hairy spate moment where I completely lost. But in mid-sentence, I was like, oh no, it just left my head. I don't know where it went. Oh man, it was a perfect tie-in too. Now I'm really frustrated with myself.
Hey, no worries. But you bring up Harry Spate and think about what you were going to say. I just wanted to share with you. I was working with somebody yesterday who's just starting to share their message, and they weren't sure what their message was. They knew their life story, but they weren't sure what their message was, how they were going to actually help people, what their pillars were. And I told them about Harry Spate that Tom brings up. Harry Spate wrote a book called Selling with Dignity. Harry decided that it all comes down to selling with dignity. So whether that's the relationship you have with your children and you're trying to get them to do something, whether you're at the grocery store and you be nice to somebody, if you're nice to your neighbor, and Harry with selling with dignity is never off message. I mean, you look at his videos, it's so everything he does is fun and selling with dignity and not trying to get the quick return. Well, is that quick return selling with dignity? If it's not selling with, so I mean, so on message, man. So I'm glad you brought Harry up, and did that help you remember what you were thinking about?
It did. Now I am less frustrated with myself. The adage that it made me think of is this old adage that there's no such thing as an overnight success, right? You see people that are successful, they start to become prominent in media, they start to garner broader audiences. You learn about them largely at a point where they've already achieved a certain level of success. And they've achieved that level of success because of consistent work over time, right? That's the only way to get there is perseverance. Consistent work over time is the only way to accomplish success, right? There's no such thing as an overnight success. Most of the overnight successes, quote unquote, that we hear about, that we think of when you say overnight success, they put in 10, 20, 30 years of work before you ever heard about them, right? So it wasn't overnight, right? That night was 20 years long that they were working on before the sun came up on the morning where they became successful, right? So like, don't, it just made me think of that. Don't get that mistaken. Like just showing up consistently and putting in the work is genuinely, I believe, the key to success. So yeah, just it made me think of that. Then I lost my train of thought, and thanks to Dom, I got it back. Thanks for giving me the breathing room to do that.
Hey, we try, man. That's what we're here for. And this idea of overnight success, I hate when people think that they get to jump the line, that we're just going to go on a world tour, that we're just going to. No, you're going to put in the work, and like Tom said, it's going to take the 20 years, the 15 years. Sometimes you have transferable skills that you were a professional athlete and you wrote a book about, because you wrote a book about this interesting story, it's going to help you sell more books. Or because you climbed Everest, that's going to help you get speaking gigs because you did something nobody else in the world has done. But there is still learning the trades, learning the craft, practicing the game. I was talking to my wife about this morning. I have been at county fairs where I had this stage like on a Saturday at 3:00 where nobody was there. And you're like, well, I'm going to go on and I'm going to do my best. The people were sitting there eating, and I'm like, hey, buddy, down there, talking to the people that were eating to. It's just part of the game. You got to learn, practice, or all of a sudden you're doing a Rotary, speaking at a Rotary at night, and half the people come late because they stayed at the bar for an extra half hour. So you're 15 minutes into your speech and 10 people come in all rowdy, and you have to figure out, what the hell do I do now? Do I start over? Should I start my speech over? But I can't go the next 15 minutes with them not knowing what I'm talking about. So you learn, you get out there and improve. Each loss is an opportunity to learn. Hey, I just met Pete here. I see Pete. I'm reading Pete's bio, and this guy seems quite interesting. Perfect.
Pete's awesome. Hi, Pete.
Perfect guy for the space. So let me read this profile. First profile read of the day. Let me prepare. Okay, the people's coach. Take my start one challenge. Download my free app and start your fantastic future. DM me to start. High performance coach. Why I wanted to go to this. Author of 20 books. He didn't write 20 books in one night. It takes time. Habit busting. Sort your life out. Inspirators. Fear busting. Shut the duck up. My latest book. Clubhouse culture. So, okay, Pete. How'd I do, man? Welcome.
You did good. Well, listen, I might have to hire you. But listen, first off, I want to just thank you guys. I've listened to you speak a few times now. It's official. I'm following you guys. I just want to thank you because, listen, I'm a massive fan of Clubhouse. I'm probably an even bigger fan, or just as big a fan, as podcasting. My podcast on the 2nd of January is 7 years old, 446 episodes. I'm super proud of myself for the hard work and the dedication. But I love what you said before about an overnight success. There's just no such thing. And who would want to be a success overnight, as opposed to who wants to do the work and look back to the fulfillment of what you did to get there. And I think that, what I love about what you're saying and the work that you're doing, there has never been more people in the world as there are right now who have got a message. They've got something to say. They're making noise. They're putting content out. And unless we really get clear on our content and the intent behind it, you might as well just forget about it. You forget about it. And that's why, look, when you hear people like Heather, who I know, as you just spoke out there, and Dimple, people I know on Clubhouse, that this is the work that they do, and I've never worked alone in the work that I do because I don't have the expertise in marketing. Even though I like marketing, I'm not a marketeer. I've had help with my podcast, but mostly done most of that on my own. But I have to just share something. This year has been one of the most difficult years on a personal front, but it's also been one of the greatest years. And that old adage of my greatest test has become my greatest testimonial. Well, that's true. But I just want to give everyone a little bit of hope around all of this, because I've been building a YouTube channel, and anyone who's ever built a YouTube channel probably knows it takes time. It takes time. Well, it can take time, right? But I have maybe 7 or 8 videos that are on a motivation channel called Motiversity, and a number of those videos have had over 5 million views, and that now is paying me 5 figures a month. But I didn't do it to make the money. I did it because I like putting good work out there. I know what the intent behind my content is. I have to refine that. I have to talk it through sometimes with people, because someone once said to me a few years ago, I asked people to give me some feedback on how they described me in terms of what I do. And I didn't like what someone said. And they said, Pete, you're like a puppy dog. You're like jumping up on someone's lap with your tongue hanging out, going, he's so excited, and then you go and jump on someone else's lap and you do the same thing. It's like, I don't really know what you do apart from you're very enthusiastic. And I think it's really important for everyone to really work out, if you have a product or service, who you are, what you do, what you offer. And if you really stand for something, just like it's massively windy here right now in the UK, just like Jim Rohn said, it's the same wind that blows us all. It's just the setting of the sail. And that's why I always encourage people to work with other people, to make sure before you go and set your sail and you go on your epic adventure to get your voice out there, just, you need help. Everybody needs help, right? And that's why I appreciate what you guys do. And if I can help and support you in any way, shape, or form, just let me know, because I'm here to help, man. So thank you so much. Dominic, I'm going to pass the mic back to you.
I'm going to fill in for Dom. He had to step away for a minute. So Pete, thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate what you said. Appreciate your help and support. By all means, please feel free to share the room. And would love to attract some more folks in here. I think it's incredibly important what you're talking about, that folks do things with intention. And I think a big part of that, I don't know if you were here before, but early in the room, we were talking about mission, right? And I think a big part of intention and setting intention in your business and the content you create and how you represent yourself is in having a mission, having a goal behind that, right? And so I think it's incredibly important to set that mission for yourself, both personally and professionally, right? Set a mission for yourself and then work towards that mission. And in doing so, you will ensure that everything you do has purpose, that there is intention behind the work that you do, behind the content you create, behind the message you put out there, behind the way you interact with folks. And I love the way you ended what you said there, Pete, with here to help. It reinforced one of the things that I did this year is I changed my email signature, because it's one of the things that I wanted to embody for myself and make sure that it was clear to everybody that I interact with that my goal is to help, right? My goal is to humanize the world of business. My goal is to help people. And so my email signature simply reads, here to help, Tom, right? That's how every email I send ends, is here to help, because I want people to know that I genuinely mean that I want to embody that spirit. And so I appreciate that when other people do the
Can
same.
I just add to that Tom, thank you. Let me just add to that very quickly.
Go for
Thank you for sharing. And that's also just really inspired me. You asked me to share the room. It's easy to do. It just takes a few seconds. It's my pleasure. But, it was interesting. I saw a Tony Robbins video recently, and it's an advert, but he's crying, and he's just talking about, we have to add value. And it's not that we have to. I think we get to add value. And I just want to thank you for what you said, because it's kind of fuels my commitment for this year to just have more conversations with people, and to lead with that question. How can I help you? What do you need? How can I add value? I think that's business. That's what Napoleon Hill said. The era of the go-getter is gone. This is the era of the go-giver, and that was in the 1930s. And I think we will be rewarded for that in ways that I don't even think we maybe even can understand. It's just you can stay true to that course. So, Tom, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for bringing a bit of love and light to my day today. And I'm going to pass it back and just listen in. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Pete. Really appreciate that. Dom, what do you think? I know you heard that
Yeah,
conversation.
I was listening. I'm
away.
a fan. I'm a fan of Pete, man. I already went to his Instagram and his Twitter on his little thing and push follow. So I'm can't wait to learn more about this handsome guy that was from. See in his bio, I think it said something the UK when I went to one of those other places. So I'm learning. So
The
thank
accent
you.
probably gives it away a little bit too.
Hey, somebody told me I was at the beach one time. This is a story I've never told here, and I'm about this. I was at the beach, and I am a happily married man for 20 years. I went to buy some drinks at like the boardwalk or like the pier, whatever it was, and the girl said, "Ooh, I like your accent. Are you from France?" And so one person in this world thought my Pittsburgh accent was from France. So I'm sticking with that. That's all. That's my story today. Okay,
Where was
go on.
she
What do you got?
from that she thought a Pittsburgh accent was French?
Hey, it's just there's something the way these words roll off my tongue. Definitely, I feel French. So, Dr. Tachi, what do you think about all this? And hold on here. Let's give Dr. Tachi has also, like Tom said, we've been here about 50 weeks this year. Dr. Tachi, Prof T, Julie, those are some of the people that in those weeks where I couldn't be here or Tom couldn't be here, Prof T, Julie, Dr. Tachi said, "Hey, we'll be here. We'll be your A driver. We'll make sure that Tom doesn't get goofy or that Dominick doesn't tell too many stories about being French. We'll reset room. We'll help you out." So, Dr. Tachi, welcome today. Where do you stand on all these things?
Well, there's a lot of things to stand on, but thank you and happy holidays to everyone. Because I came in late and then I was on a call. Can we do a recap of the original question? I think it's like, was it goals or was
Here
it?
it is. Here it is,
Okay.
Dr. Tachi. We'll break it down. We had wins, losses, earns, burns. There were 50 different ways to say, no matter what you went through this year, what did you take away? What did you learn? What made you better? And however you want to say that, that's what we're looking for.
Okay, great. I'm so happy to be back. This place is one of my happy places. So I'm always happy to be in the presence of all of you. So for me, this is what I've learned. When you're doing something, whether it's a project or whatever, and you want to include other people, if they are not just as excited as you, and they need to show that excitement, whether it's quiet excitement or otherwise, if they're not just as excited to participate in it as you, then they don't need to be a part of it. Don't try and come around afterwards or whatever, because it will be too late. The ship will have sailed. So, that's something that I've seen over and over with people where you're trying to drag people along for the ride because you either value them or you think they would be good for them, but they have to think it's good for them. You can't want it more for them than they want it for themselves. So if you're doing something and you want to include other people, you need to make sure that whoever you're doing it with or the people you're doing it with are equally as excited about it as you are. That's what I've learned.
Dr. Tachi, speak to me. This is a world I live in daily, and I wonder how do you, let's say you start something and now it's 3 months later, and I think Billy touched on he's going a different direction with his fishing show that he had a fishing show, and after 3 years on he's parting ways just because he wants to do things maybe on his own. It hurts him a little bit, but he's different interest. He wasn't as passionate about it. What if we get 3 months in, 4 months into a project, and you see the other person isn't doing not even half, they're not doing a third, they're not doing an eighth, and you see yourself, well, this is something I care about. I think this could be good, but they're falling by the wayside. What do you do?
You have to have that conversation with them. You have to be
Oh no.
honest about, and it's an awful conversation to have. I was a part of, and this is interesting you bring it up because I was part of a live stream that was along my interests, but I could tell that the host and I, the founder and I, weren't really jiving. And in fact, other people said, "We like you on your other shows, but for some reason, you two don't mesh." And I felt that we didn't mesh, and so it was a hard conversation to have. But I had to say, in addition to the other things I'm coming up that are coming up for me, I don't think we mesh as hosts. So I'm happy to help you find somebody else that will do it. But so again, I was interested in the topic, but as a host, I could tell we didn't mesh, and I was starting to dread being. And as soon as there's that dread, that means you don't need to do it. So you just have to be honest and have the conversation with people if that's you. And if you see somebody is not pulling, then you have to have that conversation and say and be intuitive enough to say, it seems like that something is going on, that you're not fully in this. Please let me know what's happening. Maybe it's something we can work through, or if this is not for you, that's okay too. You also can't guilt people into doing things. You can't make them feel guilty for not being as excited about your idea, your podcast, whatever it is, as you are. Because especially if you came up with the idea, it's your baby. And so not everybody is going to be as excited. So stick with the ones that are, I would guess. And then if they're not, and they're not pulling their weight, have that conversation and let them go. Give them permission to leave.
Thank you, Dr. Tachi. That tough conversation sounds like a scary thing.
It is, but it's okay.
Hey, Dominick, it's to chime in here about this because I went through this myself this year with my producer, if that's okay.
Have at it. Go on.
Okay. Some people just don't want to work as hard as you, and they may not be as driven, and that's okay. But when you have one person towing the line, one person with all the creative ideas and the follow through and the consistency and the discipline and all that, if you have either a co-host or a producer or someone on your team that is negatively taking away, you've got to let them go. You have to, because when you get into, I just always felt like where I was going, I knew what it was going to take, and I needed people who were equipped to handle that pressure and those deadlines. And podcasting is a marathon. It's a long game. And so isn't writing a book and all those things. And you just have to realize that it takes such dedication, and you've got to surround yourself by people who are going to support you, not take away. So that's all I wanted to add. Thanks.
Thank you. This is just such a scary subject, and I'm sure it's something that all of us face at times when you're doing things. And that's why, damn, it just so often, and I'm in a space where there's a lot of collaborative things, and sometimes it is somebody else's idea, sometimes it's something you're both working on, sometimes it's something 20 people are working on, and you see, well, what do you do? How do we have that conversation? So tough one. Thanks for sharing. Okay, Dr. Tachi said we need to reset, so we'll do that, Tom. Not the smartest guys in the room. We talk about, so if it's your first time in the room today, we try to do this room every week on Wednesdays, and we talk about media and publishing and storytelling and different ways, audio, podcasting, anything that really can get your story out there, different ways, any way. We believe that everybody has a message. And now, what are the best ways to share it? What are the ways to share it better? What are the ways to share it more? What are the ways to share it in different places, different platforms? And so we always dig in. I mean, this could be a whole conversation about audio or the publishing of books, or we could go down a conversation about reels or TikToks or captions. I sent my friend Julie a message on making captions the other day. So Heather taught us about algorithms one day. So those are all things that you might see in this room anytime you stop back. So then we go around, people add things once everybody contributes to the conversation. If they want to flash, like somebody might be an expert in podcasting. I am not. So if somebody else has a question about podcasting, one of the experts who hosted 100 shows, or like John Jay, who is a national radio host syndicated in nearly 100 cities. If somebody wants to talk about radio, well, maybe John Jay would add in. If somebody wants to talk about video production, maybe Tom, that was Emmy nominated, might want to jump in. So that's, you never know who's going to contribute, or somebody like our friend Michael Lozier, who sold nearly 4 million books. Sometimes he jumps in and says, hey, do something like this. You never know who's going to jump in. So I think this is, let's see here, is it our friend Emmy, investor in Data Dude? Data Dude. What is a Data Dude? What is a data dude? Okay, Emmy, wins, losses, and what is a data dude?
What's up, guys? No, thanks for having me here. Yeah, I just saw the room title, and I just loved it. Like, I always thought that if you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably in the wrong room, because you always want to be learning. And I think everybody can teach something, and sometimes even if it's at your expense. So I'm glad you guys have this space, and I love listening. Real quick, just a data dude is just like that. That's my day job. I'm an analyst. I've been doing it for 20 years. Big organization, just kind of helping people figure out where things are. Figure out what the signals that it's giving you versus the noise. Because even though I work with economic data on a macro level, I think data is anything. We can talk about information. Social media is big problem with it is just how to tell what's true and what's not. So, and that's kind of how how I work. So that's kind of the main thing, really. But like I said, I loved having the room title. So really, just listening to everybody's wins was really exciting. Just excited for the end of the year. So thanks guys. And also it's cool to see Dom, you broke 1,000, because I think when I came on, you had just under it. So I definitely gave you a follow Tom and Julie and everybody else in the room too. I just encourage you guys. This is just hearing everybody speak. I joined the club, so I encourage you guys to join too. For me, some of the wins was just building my own community, showing up every week, doing a show. It's tough, but it's you got to be there. A lot of lessons too. And I don't want to take too much time, but I really loved hearing about what you were saying about, not dragging anyone along. I think Dr. Tachi was saying it, like, if you, because you can't want something more than the other person, because I think in the end it brings your energy down. So if I'm looking at a project, unless it's a hell yeah, it's going to be a hard pass, because you got to go all in. You can't dilly dally. You can't just dabble and say, oh, this kind of looks cool, but you're not into it. So you have to bring that enthusiasm and energy, because people can tell. And also I really love what you guys were saying about there's no shortcuts, and there's no such thing as an overnight success, because everyone that kind of hit it big, they spent the time, they did the hours, the long days, putting in the time. And so if it takes a year or 10 years, you got to learn to love the process and the rewards that come from it. Could be big or small. It just makes it all worthwhile. Just makes it worth the work. So but yeah, just hope everyone's has a rested week, holiday time. You're recharged and ready to go for 2023. So thanks, guys.
Thanks for being here, Emmy. Appreciate that. Appreciate your feedback on the room, and couldn't agree more. The whole idea behind the title that we picked for this room, which apparently works, because Emmy's here because he liked it. But the whole reason behind picking that title was that we don't want to be the smartest guys in the room. Like, we want to surround ourselves with people who are smarter than us, with people who have disparate areas of expertise that we can learn from, because that's how you improve, is by learning, right? That's how you do better, is by learning. And so we do our best every week to share value from ourselves, from our personal lives, from our professional lives, and invite people here to do the same. So super excited you're here. Thanks for stopping by. And unless I'm wrong, Dom, did we jump over, or not jump over, but is Elise, our friend Elise, next?
Yeah, Elise is next. Let's see what I wanted to add something there. Oh,
Okay.
I wanted
Go
to
for it.
share that. Isn't it amazing? And Emmy points out that together we can do so much more. And like Tom's mission of the mission, Tom, what is it to
humanizing the world of business through better
Okay.
communication?
Clear. Tom humanizing the world of business. Tom can't humanize the world of business on his own. But, you know, if he gets all these people involved, like alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much. So I'm constantly thinking that if it's about me, it's never going to go. It's going to go to the end of this, to the end of whatever it is and be done. And so go on, Tom.
Well, I was just going to say, you know what the secret is? You know what the secret sauce is for getting people to buy into your mission, for getting people to get on board with you and to support your mission and to help you in the furtherance of accomplishing that goal? Do you know what the secret sauce is?
This sounds like something we should clip, but Tom Langan is going to share his secret.
Are you ready? Are you ready? It's revolutionary. Yeah. It's a revolutionary concept. You know what you have to do? You have to talk about it. You have to say it out loud. It's that simple. Seriously, talk about your mission. Say it out loud. Share it with the world. And people who agree with you will get on board. It's really that simple. But so many people miss out on that. They miss out on that very, very simple truth that if you have a mission, all you have to do to get people to buy in, to get people to sign up to help, is to talk about it, to share it with the world. And people will buy it. People who agree with you will help you work towards accomplishing that mission. That's the secret sauce. Talk about it. That's why I say it. That's why, like, when the opportunity presents itself, I say, here's my mission. It's to humanize the world of business through better communication. Because the more I say it, the more likely it is that people will get on board with it, and the more likely it is that we'll get close to accomplishing it. So that's the magic, is just talk about it.
Elise, that's your segue. Go on.
Sounds good. Thanks so much for the time and opportunity. I'm so sorry I have to jump in a few minutes, but this is a really wonderful conversation and a great topic of discussion. And I hope I can contribute something. In 2022, I learned how to differentiate the goals and projects that I actually want to pursue versus the ones that others would want me to pursue. And I think that's something that we've all kind of danced around today in all of the shares. I learned how to make those firm decisions without being overcome by pressure or fear of missing out or missing an opportunity. Because I learned that if an opportunity creates more pain and chaos than curiosity and inspired action, then that opportunity is not the one for me. No matter how much perceived success or prosperity it may appear to have, if it creates more chaos and pain versus curiosity and inspired action, that inspired action that gives you the resilience and patience to push through those challenges, well, then that's probably not the right opportunity. I learned how much of my peace I am and am not willing to relinquish in pursuit of something. And I think that was probably the most valuable thing that I learned this past year. And I am deeply grateful for learning that. And I think, everybody's contribution to this conversation up to this point has been very similar in that regard. And, it's been such a pleasure to be able to fully learn that and to be more confident and firm in making those decisions about what I will and will not pursue based on how much peace I have to give up and how much, inspired action and curiosity it actually brings about in me. So just wanted to share that. I hope it was a good value add. Everybody's been incredible in what they're added. And I'm so sorry I have to jump for a call now, but I hope everybody has a great day. Thank you.
Elise, thank you. We always appreciate when you are here, and check her out, follow her. She's great. I just had a conversation with somebody. We were texting back and forth. A dear friend of mine that is a professor at 3 different colleges, and he has tenure at one, and he's teaching at the other 2, and he's burning the candle. I don't even know that they all know about each other or need to know each other about each other, but he is burning the candle, right, and working nonstop, and like, and I mean, years are going by, and he's just like, "Well, I'm banking. The opportunity was here because he worked at one, and they called him back, that kind of thing." And I said, as your friend, I am obligated to say this: don't forget about balance. And Elise saying the share that she just had there, we all have these things that, well, this could make me a little more money, okay, but I'd be miserable. This could make me a little more money, but I'd be working all the time. Well, this you have to figure out where is the right space for you and where you want to be, what makes you happy, and then if you can do that stuff, um, follow those paths. So, okay, let's reset. There's got to be another word for that too. I don't like that word, but just because I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. Not the smartest guys in the room. We're going to be on here for about 15 minutes. We got some more people to meet, so we're going to go a little faster. We're going to meet our friend Holly. Holly helps me out with a lot of stuff. She is a great storyteller. She has a storytelling academy. Sign up for that. But Holly, you're the best. Wins, losses, what do you got for us?
Hey, Dominick, and happy ending of 2022 to everyone. It's been a great year. I had a couple of things in my business life this year that became realizations for me. I was in the public school system since I was in first grade, actually, but as a teacher for 32 years, and was constantly surrounded with colleagues and leaders and the other people in business. And when I branched out on my own this year, I realized it was me. And I started trying to take on all the roles at the very beginning. And then through Clubhouse and through some other organizations, I realized those other people are still there, that I dealt with, the same type of people that I dealt with in a community, but I had to find them, reach out and find them. And that was a really big realization for me that, even though I am in a business, I don't have to go it alone. I can collaborate and hire things out and have people help and all that. So that was one thing. And then another thing that I realized is that I feel like I've never worked as hard in my life, but I've never loved as much as what I'm doing right now. And the the realization I think that I take away from that is my husband and I have talked, I've been saying lately, God, I wished I'd have done this sooner. I wished I would have done this years ago. But in reality, I was not equipped to do this years ago. In my past, what I've done, leading up to now, the things I've done, the mistakes I've made, the wins that I've had have enabled me to do what I'm doing now. And so those were two really big realizations for me this year and moving forward into 2023. And I can't wait to see what that year or this coming year is going to bring. So that's it.
Holly, you got me pumped up, and I just want to say I work with Holly. She's great at what she does. Check her out, follow her, and get in her academy. She's helping people share their story, which is kind of what we do on this platform. Let's find better ways, more effective ways, efficient ways, ways to be heard, whatever. So, thanks, Holly. Okay, we are going to meet. I don't think I've met Michelle before. I help CRE pros stop juggling tools and data using AI. Interesting. I wish I could use AI more. So, Michelle, a win, a loss, what did you learn?
Thanks so much for this room, Dominick, and Tom as well. It's been very insightful and wonderful. I like to kind of call it highlights, lowlights, and lesson learned. I'm a salesperson, a cold call beast, and a top sales producer. The movie Glengarry Glen Ross was written about my grandfather's office. So always be closing, they told me. Put that coffee down. Coffee is for closers. And, revenue wise, sure. as mentioned earlier, that's always great. Just being persistent, having that energy, going, doing, moving, making the moves, right? Even having the podcast about making the moves, making moves podcast. But at the end of the day, it was to what end, at what cost, right? So the low light there, just being taking a hit health wise, guys. I don't want to bring anybody down. You definitely want to move into the new year with good energy, but you start to weigh who you're working with, what you're doing with your life, and start to make some adjustments. As Tom mentioned earlier, problems these days are equivalent to opportunities for me. I've literally just started changing the verbiage. That's it. Anytime I come up with a problem, it's not a problem. It's an opportunity to make some moves, wiggle around it, find a better way, and be able to repeat that action again for the next time that comes up. So, for me, lesson learned is just how to bounce back, man, and bounce back the right way, not just come back and, as everyone mentioned, just sort of be there and, half-heartedly kind of do the things that other people wanted you to do or expected of you, but to be mindful and aware of what you're doing when you're doing it. So, thanks again. I really appreciate the content of this room. This was a beautiful way to start the morning for me. Michelle, I'm complete.
Hey, Michelle, cool about Glengarry Glen Ross, and you're the first person in this room today to touch on personal health, which is something so important, self-help and self-care. So thank you for that reminder as we go, we scramble and think about all these things we need to accomplish, but we can't accomplish any of them if we're ill and not our best selves and not feeling good. So Tom's shaking his head, so I know that's something he's passionate about. So we'll let him.
Yeah,
touch on that.
I've got a great a great way of thinking about self care that comes from an old friend of mine. And his name's Will Gadar. I've mentioned him on here before. He's a super successful guy, a very accomplished restaurateur and leader. And this is how, of course, coming from the restaurant industry, you'll see how this how he came to this metaphor. But if you think about the work that you do, as if you imagine yourself as a water pitcher and you think about the work that you do as you going around filling up other people's cups, right? In the service that you provide, in the work that you do, and the way that you interact with people in the world. If you think about yourself as that water pitcher going around filling other people's cups up, at a certain point, you run out of water, right? And if you want to continue filling people's cups, providing service, benefiting the world, adding value to the world, then you have to take the time to refill your pitcher, right? So it's a great way to think about self-care is it's necessary to be able to bring value to the world. The only way you can provide value to other people, provide service to other people, benefit other people is by taking care of yourself. And another way that I think about this, or the way it relates to me personally, is I'm a volunteer firefighter and EMT. I've been involved in the volunteer fire service since I was 16 years old, thanks to my father, who's been involved in it longer than I've been alive. And I grew up around it. And one of the things that we're taught from a very early phase in your training in the fire service industry and in emergency services is that you have to get to the scene safely, that you do no one any good if you get hurt or in an accident on your way to an emergency. So it's imperative that you take the time to move safely so that you get to the scene of the accident or the incident and can actually provide a valuable service to the people there who need you, right? And so it's just another way to think about that I take this from a friend of mine who is in the military, who's a pilot, that I used to work with. And he said to me, the way he always thought about it was, slow is safe and safe is fast, right? Which takes a second to wrap your head around. But if you think about it, if you're slow and deliberate in the way you approach something, then that means you'll be safe in the way you do it. And if you're safe, you'll be much faster than if you are reckless and end up getting injured or hurt on the way to an emergency. So slow is safe and safe is fast. So just a couple of things to think about there when it comes to self-care and how important it is, and that you should never feel bad about it, because you can't do anybody any good if you don't take care of yourself.
Beautiful. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Tom. And I'll share a story of my friends. They wrote this book, The 5 L's, and they believe that you need these 5 things in your life to have a balanced life. It's love, labor, laughter, and leave. Sometimes you got to walk away. Sometimes you got to walk away from things that don't serve you right. But one of the theories in their book that I thought this is what you were going to share when you talked about the pilot was the oxygen mask theory. That when you're on a plane, as the plane starts to go down, and even in your EMT work, I bet before you go into that fire, you put your own oxygen mask on. And on a plane, before you can help others, you have to put your oxygen mask on so that you can then serve others. So that's the oxygen mask theory. Okay, we are going to meet 2 of our friends. Carrie jumped in before to add, which was a great addition, but we want another tip from her because that's how we do things. A win, a loss. Then we got our friend Ahmad. So Carrie, Ahmad, then Tom, with more pressure than ever at the end of the year to take us home for the whole year, not just this lone episode. Go on, Carrie.
Thank you so much, Dominic. So I'm just thinking about all the hustlers on stage and everybody who works so hard. And I've listened for a couple of years now on Clubhouse. And I think we are all going to reap the reward in 2023. And I feel like, I know in the podcast world, we're still early. We're still on the ground floor. It's increasing and it's happening. It's in a divine order and divine time. And I'm the least patient person on the planet. But I do think shifts and changes are coming for 2023. And I just want to wish everyone the best year. And I hope to encourage everybody and cheer for you along the way. So I'm Carrie Brett, professional photographer from Boston and host of the podcast Shot at Love. So thanks for letting me speak.
Carrie, fantastic. And why can't we say right now, why can't we say 2023 is going to be a kick-ass year, that good things are coming? I appreciate that message, Carrie. Let's think about that. Forget about the doomsday and the downs and all that. And how about we think in our minds that 2023 is going to be pretty kick-ass? You, Carrie. Ahmad, what do you got for us? A win, a loss? Go on. Something you learned from.
Hello there, Dom, and everybody here. Since we are approaching the end of 2022, I really wish you a happy new year and I wish you a Merry Christmas. And the thing about the new year is that there are a lot of people who set goals and put up plans, but unfortunately, most of them don't follow through, and most of these plans end up with failure due to the lack of commitment, consistency, and most of them fail because they are not really into it. So the first thing that we need to learn here is that as we are entering 2023, is that you have to be 100% serious about your goals and about your future projects. Because to me, I consider years are just days and months and weeks. And the thing that separates these years is just 360 days, 65 days. So on these 365 days, you have to tell yourself, are you going to be committed to your plans, to your projects? And let's say you are going to open a podcast, and you want this podcast to be successful in 2023. So you have to understand first what this podcast needs from you in order to make it successful. First off, is that I want to say that don't ever start any project or any podcast or any book unless you are 100% ready, because a lot of podcasters and a lot of authors start uh, end up with failure because they didn't have a pre-planning and a pre-thinking, and they don't have a plan or maybe a clear roadmap that can help them in achieving these things that they have in mind. And yeah, this is what I have to say, and thank you for giving me the stage and the opportunity to speak.
Ahmad, man, we appreciate you being here. Stay the course. That's what I'd say. Stay the course, man. Don't give up on any of these goals. I'm going to finish with that, Tom. And then we'll let you take us to where you want to go for the end of the year. But I'm a big believer in taking action. And yes, you need a plan, but you have to get off the couch and take action. And then, like our friend Tony Robbins would say, if you want to take the island, you got to burn the boats. You need to take massive action. Somebody else earlier said, you can't, I think it was him, he said, you can't expect results doing the same thing. You have to take action. You got to do something big. And you never know where you're going to go, but you got to start somewhere. You can adapt, you can change, you can learn, but you have to start. So perfect time of the year to get started. I will say, before we go to our Tom, that's going to wrap us up with something so intelligent. Thanks for a great year. I appreciate each of you, and I'm so thankful each week to see the faces and to hear your shares. And I'm personally better because of each of you. And Tom, I'm better because of you. Thank you very much for all that you do and carrying me as well. So it's all you, brother. Thank you.
Hey, Dominic, is it okay if I can add something to Ahmad before Tom closes it out?
Yeah, man. Give us something quick. Go on.
Yeah, because I mean, he mentioned commitment and consistency, but I'd add a third C is just the community, just to tie it back to what you were saying earlier about doing this together. Because a lot of us are have our own goals and things we want to achieve next year. But I think to have spaces like this so that we can get together, build each other up is just awesome. So I just wanted to add that community part to it too. So thanks again.
Thank you. I mean, and isn't it, I wanted to say this when Dr. Tachi was talking before, isn't it amazing when you're working on a project, when you're working on a mission, whatever that is, and all of a sudden other people are as engaged as you, and you start to see how much more you can accomplish when now there's two people with the common shared mission. Oh, together we could do this. And then I look at something and I get a document back and it's even better. Or I doing some work in the community and somebody says, hey, well, how about we do this too? And it's done. And you're like, wow, I didn't even think about that. So more people engaged in that community, like you're saying, I mean, spectacular stuff. So go on, Tom.
Well, just to hit one thing on what Emmy said is, that commitment to consistency is really what builds community, right? Community is built around shared values and trust. And at the end of the day, nothing builds trust better than consistency over time, right? Living up to expectations is exactly how you build trust. That's how you build community. And that's how we've built this room. We've showed up week after week together, hosting this room, bringing people in, finding people smarter than us to lend their expertise to this community, to help all of us improve the work that we're doing in the world, and to help everybody, to add a little joy and a little shine and a little happiness and hopefully some levity here and there to people's Wednesday mornings over the course of the last year. So, to echo what you said, Dom, I appreciate you. I thank you for running this room the way that you do every week, much better than I could, moving us through the speakers every week. And I think we're a good hosting team because we play off of each other and we have different strengths So our strengths complement each other. And I think that's one of the reasons why why we enjoy doing this so much, and why other people enjoy coming to this room with us every week. So I appreciate you for that. Thank you for being a part of my 2022. And thank everybody here for being a part of my 22. And I'm going to close out with a quote from Matthew McConaughey's breakout role in Dazed and Confused. Looking into 2023, my commitment is that I'm going to keep on keeping on. So that's what I'm going to keep doing in 2023. I'm going to keep pushing forward. I'm going to consistently strive to improve. I'm going to consistently work to bring value to everybody that I interact with on a daily basis. I'm going to consistently work on my brand and my business, and consistently move forward towards accomplishing a part of that mission to humanize the world of business through better communication. So that's my commitment to everybody here, everybody listening, and to you, Dom. I'm going to keep on keeping on, and I hope all of you will keep on keeping on with us every Wednesday morning at 9:30 here with Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. So thank you all so much for a tremendous year, for a great 2022, and here's to an even better 2023. One of my favorite holdovers from childhood. I will see you all next year. Bye, everybody.